So tell us about Tonya. What's new and exciting? What's going on with Tonya?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. So, Formula One is still in full swing. We are having a Max Verstappen season, I will say.
Yeah, yeah.
It seems like Max Verstappen and Red Bull team are on par to win the championship, both drivers and constructors. They have just left Singapore. They're on their way to Japan. So next week, Martha and I will be holding a clubhouse room and we will be doing our watch alongs like we always do.
Mhm.
This past Sunday, we were up in that room 7 a.m. with everybody from around the world, and we spoke all things Formula One and Singapore GP. Now, I will say that it was kind of a bit not boring, but it was very long and drawn out because there was a delay because of the weather. Because I guess it seems like the heavens opened up and it just dumped water all on the Singapore GP track. So we had to keep ourselves entertained, which we always do with our race predictions, our theories. We constantly are talking about like who's leaving Formula One, who may be coming into Formula One, et cetera, et cetera. So that kept the time until the race started.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So I know now in November, the middle of November, November 13th,
Yes,
you're
Sunday.
that's right, Sunday, you're gonna have a watch party. Tell people all about that.
Oh my goodness. So, Sunday, November 13th at 12 p.m. at Scotty Quick's in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Martha and I are going to be having our very first in person live watch party. It is going to be spectacular. And we are going to watch the Sao Paulo GP, the Brazilian GP. And anyone who knows the Brazilian GP, last year, Lewis Hamilton, he did a stellar drive, absolutely positively stellar. And the people of Brazil love Lewis Hamilton. They have granted him citizenship
Mhm.
um, in Brazil. So I thought that that would be a especially considering the season that the Mercs have been having, to have a more like uplifting watch party. I was talking to Martha about it, and I was like, I really don't think that we should have one for Abu Dhabi because I know there's a lot of Red Bull fans are ecstatic that Max is going to win, but I'm just like, I just really don't want to see that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want that to be a memory of our very first watch party. But we are welcoming all fans. If you are a McLaren fan, if you're an Aston Martin fan, Red Bull fan, Mercedes fan, please come to our event. We're going to have door prizes, we're going to have raffles, and it's also a fundraising event. It is going the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds raised in the fundraiser is going to go to a veterans fund for Virginia. So every dollar that we raise is going to help veterans, their families, in the state of Virginia. So, feel free to DM me, contact me, reach out to me. I will help you, figure out hotel accommodations. It's going to be an amazing weekend. We're going go karting. We're going to go to the movies and see Black Panther because that opens that Friday.
Mhm.
And then we're going to go karting and watch qualifying on Saturday all together. And then Sunday is going to be the big day. We're going to have the watch party on Sunday.
So while we're here, let people know how to contact you.
Yes, you can find me on a few a few outlets. That would be Shy Beautiful on Instagram, Apex Takeover Podcast on Instagram, Shy Beautiful, but instead with the L at the end, one on Snapchat. And yeah, you can reach out to me that way. And just let me know. Let me know how I can assist you. But
So
I
if you
definitely am looking so forward to seeing everybody
that's
come.
just gonna be an amazing event. It's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing.
And
Let people know
FD, are you coming?
yeah, let people know some background here. Let people know, how did this come about? How did you start the idea of this and formulate it into something that's actually gonna happen?
As far as the watch party, the
Yeah,
in-person
watch
watch
party.
party, well, that has been a concept that Martha and I spoke about for a while. We, of course, because of COVID and all of the stipulations that we have far as social distancing and things like that, we started with the social audio app way to get everybody speaking about Formula One. And we really wanted to have an in-person event. And now just with the way things are going, and I've been meeting various people from Clubhouse and Instagram at different events, like the card show, like, the national. I met a lot of people that were in Clubhouse and also on Instagram. And I was like, wow, if I could do this, then definitely it is time for us to be able to get together and see, see who's going to come to our Formula One event. It's a local event. So, what I also wanted to do, and Martha was on board with, was expand the viewership and actually have a place that people can come together and watch Formula One. Formula One's very unique, even in viewership. A lot of people watch it by themselves or maybe with a smaller group of people in the United States because the times that it comes on. And also, a sports bar most likely will be playing football instead of Formula One. And Formula One's usually in the morning. And, we just wanted to come up with a time, a place, like, hey, if you're a Formula One fan, if you're anywhere in Virginia, North Carolina, wherever you are, if you're willing to make this trip, California, if you're willing to make this trip, this is what we're doing. This is the time that we're doing it. And it is for an amazing cause. It's a fundraiser also. So we wanted to get as many Formula One fans together to be able to celebrate the sport of Formula One in the United States.
I believe this is the start of something.
I hope so. I really do. I have heard in major metropolitan cities like New York City, there are a few bars that will open early for Formula One fans, but I'm 5 hours from New York City, so that's something that I probably wouldn't be able to attend.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, I mean, this we say our first annual, so hopefully this is meaning that once a year, I don't know if it's going to be in Virginia Beach, and hey, next time it might be in Canada where Martha's from. We can just have an event like once a year and like kind of figure it out. But we also want to bring in the community aspect of it. That's very, very important to Martha and I. That
Yes.
not that we only grow the Formula One community, but then we do it for a really, really good cause. And it's happening during Veterans Day weekend. So, of course, that's the reason why we chose to donate the proceeds to the fundraisers to a veteran association.
And many of us have veterans in our families, or we
That's
know
right.
veterans, and we know the significance of the need of what you're
Hmm.
doing.
And also show our appreciation. I mean, they gave the ultimate sacrifice for us to have the freedoms that we have today, and we don't want that to go unnoticed.
Yes, true. Loco has a question here. Who is considered the Michael Jordan of Formula One?
The Michael Jordan of Formula One. Depends. It depends. If you were talking to someone of this era and someone like me, I would say Lewis Hamilton. If you were talking to someone who maybe have watched Formula One like in like the 80s, like the 70s and the 80s, so on and so forth, you easily will hear the names Ayrton Senna, you'll hear the names Michael Schumacher, um, Niki Lauda. You will hear those names. And each one of these drivers that I speak about in their own right, they contributed greatly to Formula One. Jackie Stewart, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And even now, when you start looking at like the Kimi Raikkonens, which he left Formula One last year, and he went on. Now he's doing racing series in the United States. And now Sebastian Vettel, he's leaving as well, and he's a world champion. And Fernando Alonso is a world champion. So when you look at all the contributions that each one of these drivers have made, um, they're just all champions in their own right. For me, I would say Lewis Hamilton because what he has done as far as what he's done for the sport, seven-time world champion, he has broken so many records. I mean, the list goes on and on how many records that he has actually broken as a driver. But I would say Lewis Hamilton for me because of the culture. Lewis Hamilton definitely realized that there was a gap in people of color in Formula One, and he has done his best. He has brought in people, he has done studies, and it's been a very slow moving process. But he, along with people who've realized that diversity and inclusion is important, have gotten behind him and they have made a lot of strides towards diversity and inclusion. Formula One this year, they have a ambassador for diversity and inclusion. His name is Willie T. Ribbs,
Yeah.
and for everyone who does not know who Willie T. Ribbs is, he is a living legend. He is the Jackie Robinson of motorsport,
Yes, he,
not of just race, like not a Formula One. He was the first black man to test a Formula One car, but as far as motorsport, he has driven over in countless series, countless series. He tried to drive in NASCAR, but they threatened to kill him. Which I'm not going to give too much away. I will say, if you have a chance, go watch his docu series by Adam Carolla. It's called Uppity. If you have a few minutes to watch that, that will give you the whole ins and outs, exactly who he is, and he is a living legend. So we need
yes,
to
he
give
is. Walking.
him,
Yes.
yes, and Wendell Scott. We can't forget Wendell Scott
Mhm.
as well. So, and his family. So, but yeah, for me, it would be Lewis Hamilton. Um, Next to Lewis Hamilton, definitely Ayrton Senna. I mean, I wish that I could have seen Ayrton Senna race.
Yeah, it would have been a pleasure.
Yeah.
We talk about the hobby, we talk about cards. Lewis Hamilton has had a card sell for pretty high dollar amount.
Hmm.
$740,000 to be exact.
Oh, that's
Oh,
a nice house.
yeah. Not right?
Couple
I like
houses,
what he said. Yeah, that's a nice house. Yeah, some parts of America that could be cheap. That could be a huge one. Yeah,
multiple houses.
yes. He also had a card sell for 900,000 back in
Hmm.
April of 2022.
Hmm.
Um, I know different people have different viewpoints on Formula One cards. The prices that we've just talked about, are they long lasting? Will those prices go down? What are your thoughts when you hear about the dollar amounts that some of these cars are sold for an athlete like us?
Well, I would first say, considering the inception of these cards, they've only been around for like about 2 years. And when you're comparing when a product such as like whether it's Topps Chrome, um, the Dynasty collection, and then also I like the Turbo Attacks, but that's more of the kiddie version that the kids can like put in their spokes of their bicycles if they want.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the inception of these cards, and then you look at the longevity of the hobby, for a Lewis Hamilton to sell for six figures and it's not even 5 years old, that speaks volumes. Now, I know that there was a pocket in the hobby that a lot of people spoke about during COVID, where there were a whole bunch of different series of cards. I don't even know if that's the right word for different types of cards. Like the Project 2020 was going up, down, and everywhere.
Oh yeah,
The, I mean, but you look at what's sold, like the Honus Wagner sold and the Mickey Mantle sold, and like they were some for some very astronomical amounts of
oh yeah,
money that
oh yeah.
even 5 years ago people who
No.
are selling those cars wouldn't have got that amount of money. But
Mm,
now that you look at the economy, which we spoke about this last time, and how we are dipping into a recession, people don't have as much money in their reserves, that people are starting to hold on to their money a little bit more and probably negotiating down a little bit more. And I think that's where the card market is going with that. But with that being said, you look at Michael Jordan's cards, and how long he's been produced on cards. Some of those cards are like 20, 25 years old. Can you imagine what if someone was to hold on to a Lewis Hamilton patch auto dynasty, if in 20 years from now, once Lewis Hamilton's legacy is already done, what that card is going to be worth? Even if the market's, you know, a roller coaster, peaks and valleys the whole entire time. 20 years from now, Lewis Hamilton's career and his contributions to Formula One and also the world as a humanitarian are going to be set. And that is what that card's gonna that's going to be the true that that's going to be the value of the card monetarily.
Yeah.
However, someone like me who has a Lewis Hamilton card, I really don't look at the monetary value of the card. I look at the value of the person that is on the card. Um, Serena Williams.
Mm. Yeah.
I was in here. You would have thought that I was watching a full out like football game, the way that I was like screaming, like my 7-year-old's like, "Mommy, are you okay?" I'm like, "Boy, I'm all right. Go back in there and watch TV. I'm watching tennis."
You're
But to
watching greatness.
see
Yeah, you're watching greatness.
greatness, yes, to see Serena Williams, whether she won the match or not, that was watching greatness. That was watching a moment in history
Mm-hmm.
for me. And to me, she's the GOAT. Now, her and Lewis Hamilton, which a lot of people don't know this, her and Lewis Hamilton are best friends. Best friends. And I can kind of see why, because they got a lot of similarities. They've gone through a lot of things, especially look at tennis as a sport, look at Formula One as a sport. They most likely, well, I'm not even saying most likely, they did experience the same experience of being,
Yes.
the only, person in their era, black person in their era in their sport. Um, I'm not going to take anything away from Arthur Ashe or uh, Althea Gibson or anything like that, but
It's
still,
a different generation. Yes.
yeah, but for our generation.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I will I will always cherish both of those cards, which I'm happy I have them both. But because of the legacy and what they meant to me, what I saw in Serena Williams as a black woman doing damn near the impossible and be a mother and a wife and everything that she had to deal with and that determination. And I love the sister moment when she said if there was no Venus, there wouldn't have been a Serena. And I was just like, gosh, I really broke down on that because I have a sister too, and I feel that way about her.
And if you go back in the sport, like she had to get past Venus. Venus is #1 in the world.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
she sure was. And man, she did a banger of a job too. And just seeing the whole family there and everything that whole entire family went through to be able to get these women and the hard work that these women had to put in at a very, very young age, that sheer drive and determination, much like Kobe Bryant. I mean, they're the heroes.
True. If I was a person that wanted to learn more about Formula One, I see your excitement. I want to watch. I want to be able to follow. I want to know some of these top drivers. What steps would you recommend at a high level that I go through in order to be able to learn more about the sport?
Well, Formula One's so multifaceted. People are drawn to Formula One for different reasons. One, it could be someone might see a driver that they relate to and they want to know everything about that driver. So, or a team like, the Tifosi, the Scuderia Ferrari, they've been around forever. And, if you're in America, everybody wants to have a Ferrari if you love sports cars, right?
Yeah.
So people are attracted to Formula One for different reasons. Some people, I know people that are attracted to Formula One all just because they want to geek out on the aerodynamics of exactly how a Formula One car, the components of a Formula One car. So, like in cases like that, they would well, I don't know how much research there really is that shows, like, because a lot of these teams are like so secret on how their car is constructed. You kind of have to
Yeah.
know somebody that knows somebody to figure it out. But a lot of reading. If you want to just learn about the history of Formula One, reading on the F1 website, they have like a lot of valuable information. Also, there's a lot of videos done by like Sky Sports, a lot of articles that have been written on Formula One. And now, with content creators entering the Formula One space and Formula One actually reaching out to content creators to kind of bring them in, there are a lot of content creators that do like TikTok videos, they do YouTube, they do Snapchat like me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just find a content creator and kind of like follow like what they're talking about. And I mean, I have friends that are content creators that have podcasts. That's another thing. Like if you want to just be able to clean up your house or like drive on a long car ride and you just can, there are so many different Formula One podcasts that talk about all aspects of Formula One. Um, you can easily plug into them. Ours is the Apex Takeover.
There you go.
Martha and I actually we speak to the unsung heroes of Formula One and also motorsports. So ours are more of an interviewing type of podcast. We've interviewed the likes of Carol Glenn. A she's a marshal. Um, One of the first, not yet, probably only black women long time long time Marshall. And then we also had Jive Wavy Dynamics, which he is in partnership with McLaren, and that was just recent. And then we have Ludwig. He is the owner of MFT Racing. And I swear, I really think Ludwig is going to end up in Formula One day. I don't know when, but I think that he's going to end up in Formula One day in some capacity, especially in management. We have spoken to Willie T. Ribbs. We have spoken to Mario Isola, director of Pirelli Motorsports, Alex Molina. Alex Molina is a very interesting person. He is the one who coordinates the podium ceremonies and all of the fandom activations, things like that, that happen on the track. Like you go to a Formula One race, it is legit. It's not like you show up to a race Sunday and then that's it. Like there are all sorts of activities that go on throughout the whole race weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex Molina is the guy who the podium ceremonies that you see the drivers do a lot of the activations and things like that. He is responsible for. I think that one of the more poignant interviews that we've done was of the late Jason Jenkins. He was the director of communications for the Miami Dolphins and Crypto.com for Miami.
Okay.
His interview was very significant to us because he brought a lot of diversity and inclusion of the people of Miami Gardens into Formula One. He was very intentional on doing that. And in a climate now where Formula One, there are still a lot of issues that Formula One has bringing more people of color into the sport. Jason Jenkins was able to do that. And the Miami Crypto.com team was able to do that when they brought Formula One to Miami. He was a pillar of his community. He saw people that aren't used to being seen. I will say,
Yeah.
people like Martha and I, we're very new in the space of podcasting and also content creation. But what Jason Jenkins saw in us was that he gave us a chance. He gave us an opportunity. And him, along with a few others in Formula One, they really let us get in the back end that we know that people normally wouldn't see,
Okay.
as far as the community event and also access like to the paddock and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just I'm telling you, rest in peace to another legend, because I just really think that whoever ends up in Miami and gets that position, they already know they're going to have some big shoes to fill, because he was the community.
Sounds like you did great work.
He did.
I have another question for you. You talked earlier about content creation and Snapchat. Tell us a little bit more, probably a lot more, about what Tonya is going to be doing with Snapchat.
Oh my goodness. So yes, I have been I just want to say, first of all, shout out to my mom. My mom sends me things like on a daily basis, whether it is to read, whether it is I have to listen to what she says. And a few months ago, she sent me this application for this program called Snap in 523. And I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, thanks, mom. She was like, no, baby, but did you read it? Fill it out. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, there is no way. Like, I have no shot in this whatsoever. And she would call me, she's like, Tonya, did you fill it out? And I'm saying, I'm like, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And like, as soon as I hung up the phone with her, like, I really had to like fill the information out. So I did, and I was like, okay. And she told me, she was like, Tonya, this is like, Westbrook Media is like, that's Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's team. And I'm like, are you serious? And the crazy thing is that I remember, like, I think like a year or two ago, Will Smith did a sketch with Lewis Hamilton where he basically tied Lewis Hamilton to a chair and he
Mhm.
was like dressed up in the suit. And like Lewis Hamilton was like, get me out of this chair because I want to race. And I think Will Smith said something like, we look alike anyway, who cares? And then Lewis Hamilton looks at him, he's like, well, you better win. And then
Yeah.
like Will Smith runs down and he like, kind of like fakes like he's driving the car or whatever. But I knew that Will Smith loved Formula One. And I just wanted to lean into like that whole aspect. And I was like, you know what? If I have a shot, then I will definitely push all of my Formula One content forward, and see if it works. And yeah, like about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I got an email and they were like, you've been accepted. And I couldn't believe it. I literally thought that it was like one of those, you know, hey, I'm the African prince. If you do this, then I'll send you money.
One of those emails.
Yeah, one of those emails. And I'm like, man, this is spam like a mug. There is no way. There is no way that I was chosen for this. And I read it and I read it again, then I read it like 5 times. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is true. And I responded and all this other good stuff. And when I had the first um call with the Snapchat team, that's when it felt real.
Okay.
And it's called Snap 523. And basically, what Snapchat is doing, they are helping jumpstart 25 Black content creators and to launch them into the career of being social media influencers. And they want us to be successful on whatever venture that we do, whatever partnerships that we have. They're also going to offer us a lot of like mentorships, a lot of sessions where we're able to ask questions and learn about this industry because it's all fairly new.
Mhm.
Like everybody, anybody could take a video and like post it, but like, how do you market it? How do you get partnerships? How do you get um, more viewerships across multiple platforms and things like that. So, not saying that they have all the answers, but I am going to ask them a whole bunch of questions.
Oh
So,
yeah, and you should. Congratulations, Tom.
thank you. Thank you. So, I'll be working on that project for a year. I've been told, like, asked, like, hey, are you going to give up your job? And I'm like, I don't know. I still don't know. That's like everyone's asking me that question.
Hmm.
I love my job. I love what I do. I love my profession, and I worked hard to get it.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
true. Well, it's always good to have options on stuff, and you have created two paths, and you worked hard on both options to have them for yourself. So, I mean, that's kind of what it's all about, you know.
Yeah, completely different. I mean, I don't know, like, I'm like over here as a dental hygienist, I'm over here as a card collector, I'm over here, like I'm in the middle with being a Formula One content creator, but I love them all. I really do.
Yeah, I'm very very happy for you. I mean, that's a great opportunity.